There's just something really special about spending a weekend away spearfishing with your mates. Nothing beats it, and the memories that you form stay with you for a long, long time. It had been a long time, and we were due for another Jervis Bay spearfishing trip. So that's exactly what we did.
Hey boys, there's fish everywhere. The yak are here too.
Well, the signs early on were good. There was a lot of bait fish thanks to that roaring current. And a lot of bait fish generally means the bigger fish aren't too far away. I dive through the yakka here and go down to the first ledge. I peek over and I see a lot of fish down below. I push over the ledge, completely exposed, and that's when I realise there's a big shadow in the middle of this school of fish, and it's a big snapper. By then it's too late, the snapper spots me and it's gone. You can see here there's a snapper off to the side and I completely miss it. I don't even realise it's there until I look at this replay. I'm completely focused on this big snapper. But unfortunately, I'm too exposed, it spots me and it's gone. It just goes to show that you should go over every ledge anticipating that there's a big fish on the other side, and then you won't get stuck in this predicament like I did and lose the opportunity of big fish like this.
Oi, big snapper down there.
Oh yeah? Okay.
I just spooked him and he went. I was going to take a shot but I didn't have the right angle.
Well, I continue diving and it's only 8 minutes later when I come across a school of kingies. There's only 4 in this school, but they're pushing 20 kegs. They're a really good size. They're bigger than the ones that I got in New Zealand, and I'm waiting for the perfect opportunity to reach out and take that shot. But just as they come into range, they turn and they disappear. The boys were absolutely giving it to me for not taking an earlier shot. It's easy said in hindsight, but sometimes that's just the gamble we take on waiting that split second longer for a better shot. It really does hurt watching these big fish swim away, but I have also rushed shots before and been shocked by the sheer strength of these fish as they go straight to the bottom and just rip that shaft straight out.
Oh shit.
And the hardest thing is watching them swim away, knowing that they're likely going to die.
Oh no.
I personally, in shallow water, want to make sure that I get a good shot, otherwise that kingfish is going to go straight down and reef me before I even make it to the surface to try and fight it. I learnt that lesson in New Zealand where I rushed the shot and I pulled the trigger too early. Now that shot was too low, and how I landed that kingfish is absolutely beyond me. But no matter which way you look at it, that was 2 really good opportunities at 2 really good fish, the snapper and the kingfish. So it's time to release some frustration, and that's on this silver drummer who's just kicking along, enjoying his day. I was a bit frustrated, so I ended up just reefing him up, and I almost actually lost him as he started to tear. I'm not massive on silver drummer, however, Mick absolutely loves them in a curry, so that's exactly where this fish was going to go. Well, the wind picked up to about 25 knots, and it was getting too dangerous to be out on the water, so we headed back in and called it a day. Mick ended up getting a silver drummer that was a lot bigger than the one that I got, so we had enough fish for our curry and we headed back in. It was a bit frustrating on the drive back in, knowing of the big fish that I could have landed that day. But that's what makes this sport so addictive and what makes us want to get back out there for that next dive. Well, I don't know where to start with this curry, but I'm going to chuck down the ingredients and the cooking method that Mick did down below. I was a bit skeptical with the silver drummer at first, but it was absolutely awesome. The boys loved it. It was delicious. We didn't just have seconds, we ended up having thirds. And it just goes to show there are a lot of fish out there that people don't go for, but if you know how to cook them, it can taste good. And Mick absolutely nailed this curry. The second and final day of the trip, and we needed to fill the esky full of fish. Today's plan was no different than yesterday. Get big fish.
Those bonito were fast. Oh, did ya?
Mick and I went on a bit of a mission for a little while. We decided to create some noise, trying to get some attention, trying to bring in those big kings. Ended up grunting, using the flasher, but nothing seemed to work. The kingies just didn't seem to be there today. So we ended up kicking back to the boat, and I stuck the flasher on the side, and we held onto a rope from the back of the boat just to conserve energy and get better breath holds because that current was roaring. Having a low heart rate is so important when it comes to diving. That lower heart rate means a longer breath hold and less chance of blackout as well. So the rope came in pretty useful.
Righto, I got a pike for you, Sam.
Well, this big seal just turned up as I was getting back in the boat, and I wouldn't be surprised if he turned up after hearing my spear gun shoot that pike. And a spear gun going off is like their mum calling out saying dinner's ready.
He's coming back, look. Oh, you keep him there. Keep him, I'm jumping in.
Swim with that, I got it.
Here he is, he's right below the boat. Oh, he took my flasher! He took this flasher!
It's all fun and games until you see it swimming away with your flasher and your bonito. In the commotion of the seal swimming around, one of the boys accidentally knocked the flasher over the edge as well as a filleting knife. I was able to dive down and retrieve the filleting knife. And I couldn't believe my luck. It was so flat out there on the water that after the bonito had been swallowed by the seal, my flasher floated to the surface and the boys spotted it.
Oh, here he comes.
So the seal ended up coming back for seconds after dropping my flasher. So I decided to jump in the water and swim around with him while the boys went and retrieved my flasher.
Where'd you go? Did you get it? Yeah.
Yeah. Flasher was nice. Lost your fish boat.
That seal was pretty sick.
Big one, man.
He was swimming pretty close. Oh, I couldn't believe it. I just saw this bonito in his mouth and my flasher behind it. I'm like, oh, what? Oh, I just ripped a hole in my wetsuit.
Oh, you got stuck on that.
Yeah, it's been a good wetty too. That's why you don't go in off the boat like that.
So the kingfish and the snapper didn't really want to play ball today, but lucky for us, there was a lot of Australian salmon also known as kawai, which were in closer to shore. So we started to plug a few and have a bit of fun. They made for some good target practice. Not only does burleying up the water help out the bait fish grow and gives back to the ocean, but it also attracts the fish in, just like this kawai that ended up swimming around me. He came up real close and I ended up reaching out and just taking a hip shot, which immobilized him immediately.
Donating my fish for a second. I'm pretty sure it was a grey nurse.
Oh yeah.
Could have been maybe 2.5, 3.
I've seen a few of them around. I had a real baby one come up.
After having all of the fun with the salmon, it was time to go into the shallow water and see if we can find a few whiting around. There's nothing more dangerous than a 110 roller trying to hunt down some whiting.
Shot this whiting and look at the worm that came out of it. Yeah, that'd be good bait.
So Sam decided to throw the fishing rod down and jump in and have a go at the spear gun. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't recording when he took the shot, but it was a pretty cool moment.
What a sharpshooter for his first shot.
That's the first fish I've ever speared, eh?
Perfect shot. Well done.
Well, it's time to go back in because we got exactly what we came for, and that's an esky full of fish. We had a nice little mixed bag. We got some bonnies, we got some salmon. Jake got a nice ocky at the end of the day, and there was a couple of whiting there. Sam's whiting ended up going just over the legal limit, so we're all pretty happy because there was plenty of fish to go around.
Not a bad whiting.
So we filleted all the fish, and Jake ended up smashing the ocky on the rocks to tenderise it. Alright, so it's time to repair that wetsuit that I tore jumping in off the boat. It's pretty simple, just go to your local dive shop, buy the wetsuit repair glue. It's basically a glue that's got a lot of stretch, and just whack it on. Put a couple of layers, and you're good to go. Now it's time to vacuum seal all of those fresh fillets. Gonna open this up. Now I want to click it in, and now we're going to press vacuum seal. So now that it's green, I can open this up, and the seal is done. Now I'm going to write on here the date. In the fridge she goes. Alright, it's time for the catch and cook. I'm now going to run through how I did this garlic butter whiting. Cut some potatoes in half, chuck them in the boil. We want to boil them until we can slide a fork into them with very little pressure. Now warm those fingers up. Now chop up some garlic, coriander and lemon. Now drain the potatoes, add a bit of olive oil and season them really well with your favourite little spices. Heat up a bit of butter in the microwave and put it all over those potatoes. Now chuck them in the oven at 220 degrees Celsius. That's 425 Fahrenheit for the yanks out there. Dry the moisture from the fillets. Now throw on some butter and start with the seasoning. Salt, pepper, garlic, lemon, coriander and sweet paprika. Throw some butter into the pan, making sure not to burn it. Chuck on those whiting fillets. We want to push down and start to add a bit of a golden crisp to the whiting before we chuck it in the oven. Try not to move the whiting fillets around too much, that's how all the seasoning falls off. Always throw your biggest fillet down first because that's the one that takes a bit longer to cook. Now we're going to add a bit more seasoning before we throw them in the oven with the potatoes. Just keep in mind that the smaller fish will always cook faster. Now throw them in with the potatoes, leaving them at 220 degrees. You only want to cook them for 15 to 20 minutes or until the fish is fork tender. I like to throw a plate in the oven for a minute while things are starting to cool down. I hate throwing nice warm food onto a cold plate. Now you can throw on some greens to keep your mum happy and you've got yourself a delicious meal. If you've made it this far, thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button and give me the thumbs up to support the channel. There's a lot of dives that I do in between these episodes, so if you want to stay in touch with that, jump on the Deep Down Under Instagram page. Until the next episode, stay safe out there guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.